On this week's episode of The Smoke Break, we talk with wellness and empowerment coach Sera Eden about inspired action and manifestation. We also discuss how we can improve our reality by addressing our limiting beliefs, as well as how we can work to make these concepts more accessible. Episodes release on all platforms, Mondays at 6 p.m. And welcome to The Smoke Break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Xperience Radio. If you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, go ahead and hit that follow button. But I'm your host, your old pal Zane, here with Zoe Schwartz.
Hello.
And Sera Eden. She waved on an audio podcast, but I promise she talks. No, it's all good.
Hey, sometimes people wave goodbye or hello at the end.
Yeah, that's true.
I do a weird kiss blow. So.
She does a goodbye kiss, so stick around till the end. But Sera.
Yeah, so this is my friend Sera Eden. We and Sera have been friends. We were trying to figure it out probably almost 15 years. And Sera is a wellness and empowerment coach. And me and Sera both have sort of been on our individual, but simultaneous journeys to being sort of healing people. And we found it through different avenues. Obviously you guys know I'm a therapist. Sera's doing this coaching thing, but she has a long journey to where she's at. So getting to where you're at. But I think both of us had our own trauma to work through. And I think, that idea of a wounded healer, I kind of think that me and Sera both kind of embody that idea of having our own experiences that led us to want to help other people.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I think part of healing is being empowered. It's being that was the transition. It was smooth and nobody noticed.
So about manifestation.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, being empowered is a really it's a hard thing to kind of do yourself. How have you found it most effective to try to help empower people or have them empower themselves?
Well, tell us what it means to you, I guess, too, first, right? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how I got into it kind of, or?
Well, just the idea of empowerment.
Yeah. The idea of empowerment for me and what I help my clients with is just basically help coming at it through all the elements of wellness and well-being. So I'll sit with them and just kind of address. So there's 6 elements. There's the physical wellness, emotional, there's mental, intellectual. Mm-hmm. So our thoughts, communal, so how we interact. And, we all know it's actually one of the main things about wellness is if you're just alone all the time, just relating with people and being able to be in community is really important.
Yeah, humans are communal.
And then spiritual.
Yeah. And spiritual. Okay.
And then so for me, when I think of empowerment, I think of just helping people step into their full potential and through that they can make better choices in their life, take better care of themselves, really follow through and take action from an aligned place, which is just their authentic voice, being their authentic self and how they move through the world. And then when they're in alignment with that authenticity of themselves, they can really feel they're living their life, not to the fullest, but fulfilled.
Yeah.
Living their life on purpose. That's what it was.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I like what you said about, not to the fullest, but being fulfilled, because the fullest might be, by somebody else's standard, but being fulfilled, that's something that you could get to decide yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said taking action. I feel that might be part of feeling empowered. So what is taking action kind of do to help somebody feel more fulfilled?
Yeah, that's an amazing question. I think taking action, and I call it inspired action because just random acts of action are not necessarily leading in the direction that's going to help you feel fulfilled.
Yeah.
But so taking action, it's I guess what I see is that there's people who are always going towards goals and taking actions, but they're not fulfilled.
Yes.
So to me, it doesn't necessarily counteract each other, but that's why those 6 elements of wellness come in, because once you realize that you need to take action in all of those areas or else, you're not getting that fullest sense of life. I have people who make tons of money. They take action towards their jobs and have all these goals and
have
checked all these boxes, but then they're I'm still not happy or I'm not fulfilled. And they are happy, but it's just that fulfillment. That's the thing. You can be happy, but not fulfilled.
Ooh, okay.
It's being out of balance.
Right. And that's why I like to say the alignment aspect. It's I always try to get people to be well, what would I call it the inner being, but whatever you want to say, your soul, your the inner child, the you that's beneath your skin and bones and identity even, just checking in with not what other people want you to do or, any other actions that you think you have to do, but what is your soul calling you to do?
Yeah.
But taking action towards that, because then if you know what your what you're passionate about or what inspires you, but you never take any action towards it, you're just not going to feel empowered because you're like, wow, I'm not doing anything that lights me up. I'm just working. Or
well, I mean, and it's almost, for me, I guess it almost feels worse knowing that there's actions I could be taking and I'm not.
Exactly.
You know? Like if I know what is the thing that makes me feel better, but I'm almost choosing not to do it, then I'm going to feel more exhausted and more like unfulfilled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Zoe? What do you think as far as like empowerment? Like what is the thing that, the importance of it in your work?
Well, I think like me and Sarah were talking about this a lot, like how there's a lot of like we come at healing from like a super different perspective, but I think we have really like similar key sort of like values around the way that we want to help people. And I think the way I think about it, and I think partially the way Sarah talks about it too, it's like sort of like finding peace with where you like you can't come from a place of growth, or you can't grow from a place of like I hate where I'm at now. I hate myself, right? Because then it's like you're not.
Why would you want to improve someone you hate?
Yeah, like it's about accepting where you are now, being empowered in the idea that like you are who you are because of the experiences that you've been through, and that like all of the things that you've done that maybe aren't serving you anymore were all things that you used to survive to get to the place where you are now. Yeah. So you kind of like you come to peace with where you're at now with the desire to grow, but you don't judge, like not judging where you're at. So I think like when I think about kind of like the connection between the work that me and Sarah both do, that's kind of where I think about empowerment, like acceptance, self-compassion, and growth from that place. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, and I even like what you said about the, almost acknowledging that like we were trying to survive, because I feel like a lot of times when things go sideways and we're like, I didn't act the way that I would have liked to, I didn't act the way that I could have done better. I feel like we don't think about like in those moments, that's us just trying to survive because, we think that maybe this situation, if we don't solve it, it could be, a bigger problem, and that would, isolate us, and then we don't have the community part of it. So it's like we're just trying to survive. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. What about you, Zane? What does empowerment mean for you, or how do you think about empowerment?
Yeah. I guess for me, I would say that it's almost like a confidence in myself, and a confidence in the things that I'm doing, and a confidence in my ability to do more difficult things. I think that sometimes I get scared that if I failed in one situation, then maybe I failed in every situation, or I will fail in every situation. But I think even just being able to reframe my past in a way that I can acknowledge, maybe I was just trying to survive, or I've picked up better skills, like being able to acknowledge where I've come from and even where I'm at. I feel like those things for me are really empowering.
Yeah, totally.
So Sarah, I wanted to ask you, when it comes to like empowerment and trying to empower people, like what do you think is like the biggest hurdle that you run into with people?
The biggest hurdle, I think is just kind of what you both have just touched on. It really stood out to me is like when you said you're just trying to survive. I mean, that comes natural to us. Obviously, we want to survive and keep being alive. And that's kind of what brought me into this whole work anyway, is just that same feeling of like, I was a survivor and I'm just trying to get by instead of thriving. So that's where I feel like the empowerment aspect just comes in, is like helping people get out of that survival mindset and stepping into their power. So they're like, no, fuck just surviving. I'm trying to thrive right now.
Yeah.
And so like the biggest hurdle is, I think, just getting over people's limiting beliefs and thinking that even think that they're capable of thriving. They're like, well, or just they're scared of failure. Like you said, part of it is like feeling confident that I might fail again. Well, what if you do fail again? You probably will fail again.
Yeah.
You should be confident that you will fail again.
Getting right with the unknown, and like just being able to accept that we're all going to probably fail millions of bazillions of times, and just accepting the mystery of it all, and just like stepping into it without any evidence that it's going to succeed or not succeed, and just going forth. That's the empowerment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like knowing that the intention is important regardless of what the outcome
it's the cliche. What is it? The journey, not the destination.
It's super true. No, and I like the way you said like the gray area, or I don't know if you said that, but it made me think about this, like when I was learning about my sort of like undoing all my stuff around like diet culture and things that were like harmful to me that I thought were like the goal, and then I learned what was more in line with myself. They really talk about this idea of like the gray area, like really leaning into the gray. Like we don't need to know. There's not a lot of times it's both and with everything. You know what I mean?
I've never heard that, but I like it.
Yeah. So I think I like and I think it gives that space for like curiosity instead of like judgment or like black and white thinking or all or nothing. It's kind of like, things are lots of different things at once, and that's okay. And we don't have to like find a solution or find a specific answer. And I think that aligns with like mindfulness too, which is just like being present with things instead of trying to control them.
I was just gonna say releasing control. Everyone feels like I have to be in control and like do these exact steps to be there. It's like, it's probably going to change. So.
Yeah. And I think being open to that change is the thing that allows you to kind of empower yourself is if you're expecting things to go unexpectedly, then like you are the most prepared.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I like that.
Yeah. No, I like that too.
So something that you brought up was limiting beliefs. And I think that's something that I definitely have struggled with in the past and maybe even currently struggle. I do.
Same. Yeah.
Same.
But I think that's a really important thing to bring up. So what is your definition of a limiting belief?
A non-empowered thought about yourself. And that I would say a limiting belief is when you really get down to the core of like your values, of just thinking of like, is it true? Is it true? Is that a true statement? And does that still apply to like the concept of the identity that I'm trying to carry forward right now? Maybe that was an identity that I carried when I was like 7 or 13 or even like 20.
Sure.
But I've had 20 years to become a different person. And is that still true now? And if it's not, then it's a limiting belief because that's not a belief that's part of my current value system.
Yeah, I like that. It's not a belief that's part of your current value system.
Yeah. I like that too because it's not because like the reality testing we've talked about is like what's real, what's not real. It's not so much about what's real. It's like what's real for me
right now.
What's true for me.
Yeah, and right now.
What if it was real back? I mean, I don't want to deny how you were in the past because in the past I really was like, I'm suffering, I'm in pain.
Yeah,
I'm shy. You know, I had all these identities, and that was my identity. It wasn't like fake or anything.
Yeah.
I've outgrown it.
Yeah,
and I like that you said, you know, like now, you know, like that's such an important word because it acknowledges that we're acknowledging who we were in the past, or that those things could have been true, but they may not currently be true.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I really appreciate that. So as far as like removing these limiting beliefs, like what is a step that if we wanted to send somebody away, like what would be a step for trying to, you know, negate these limiting beliefs?
Well, usually you need to be still first. So that's where that mindfulness, meditation, you want to like just take some time to breathe and like check in with your intuition first. And you're like, so quieting the mind, really like taking some time to like, and this can be like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just like shutting down the brain, really, all these thoughts and just checking in with like that inner compass, the intuition, like, cause I mean, this might sound a little woo woo, but I feel like we all have that inner compass within where if you ask, like, should I really be scared of coming on this podcast? My inner being would be like, it's a podcast, calm the fuck down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's not a radio show. You're fine.
Yeah, and it's a good opportunity.
Well, I mean, you're just doing anything that you're scared, whatever. It's like some things your inner being would be like, you should be terrified. Don't do that.
Yeah,
you know, that's
like don't
what
jump
it's
off a waterfall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, depending on how high, maybe you'd be like, stop, you know,
or be careful when you jump off a waterfall.
So it's like checking in with your inner intuition. And I do this through, I call it sometimes like inner child work or like just letting people imagine like without all people, how would you just say it? Like without all of the like the people telling you what to do or the conditioning.
All the conditioning. Yeah.
It's like
socialization.
Because like when I think it's till age 7, we're kind of in that theta wave of the brain where you're not
just absorbing everything.
You're just like you're not like over processing. Your brain isn't to that point where you're like you're thinking through everything. You just are. Babies just cry because they need something. They're not like, how should I even put this into words? So it's kind of checking back into that like, I mean, I guess it's just raw you, like the inner you that's just you. And so I feel like to get to the limiting belief, you need to just check back in with that of like, ask yourself a question. I always tell my clients, I'm like, you can actually get still and ask your inner being questions, or I name my inner being. Twilight, my graffiti name from when I was like 12.
Yeah,
you know
that's pretty rad.
That's pretty rad. Like Twilight. Should I be? Whatever. You know, like whatever question. I didn't know you use that just ask. That's cute. Ask yourself, like, is this true? Do I really need to worry about this? You know, like because that's usually people have worries, but when they really check in, it's like, no, like you're fine.
Yeah. When I do it, I call myself Zodog.
Zodog, nice.
No, but what you're saying, like, really, we almost had.
Please.
I was just gonna say, I had a time in my life where I had really bad anxiety about something, and I was first time I really like figured out a way to work through it on my own, and I did a lot of like deep breathing and like visualization, and I just feel like it made me think about the way you were just talking about that, like thinking about, I totally just lost my train of thought.
No.
Zodog.
Oh,
what
yeah,
would Zodog say?
Oh, when I talk to
Zodog,
myself,
the origin of Zodog.
WWZDS.
Yeah, but just thinking about how the things that I was judging myself for were societal expectations of what made me a good or bad person.
Yeah.
And I really had to like sit with this. Like the thing I'm doing is not morally wrong. I was just worried about some of the consequences. I'm not going to say what, but like, and so I was having these, but sitting there and really thinking about like, who am I? What does this mean?
Does this align?
What is this? There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. The thing I'm feeling bad about is outside
The conditioning aspect.
from our society or our culture. And that really helped me work through something like the worst anxiety I've ever had at one point. So I think it's cool that I kind of like tuned into that on my own at one point.
It is amazing.
Well, no, I think that oftentimes we do have a lot of the answers ourselves, and
like you were saying,
through coaching and through therapy, like I think being able to ask yourself the right questions to arrive at the right answers is super important. So I appreciate that. I'm somebody who asks a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So to ask myself questions, I've never considered it.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
and just one more quick thing about that was once we get to that point of like asking ourselves the question, sometimes you realize that your inner child, the like 7-year-old you or kid you, like jump to a conclusion because you didn't know any better. So you made a belief because you weren't able to process it at the time. So you instilled this belief within you of like, my mom hated me and abandoned me. But really, I'll use myself as an example. My mother had mental illness, and so a lot of my trauma was limiting beliefs that like she didn't want to be a good mom or whatever, all these problems. But really, that wasn't the case. She was doing the best she could and didn't have resources, I like had all these beliefs that I thought were true. And then once I was older and was able to like make peace with her and then revisit, I'm like, oh, those were just misunderstandings that the little me made into a belief.
Yes.
And they're actually not true. They're not true.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. And a lot of times we don't know any better. And you've ingrained it in your like subconscious that was true. When it's actually not true.
That kind of tracks back to what you're saying about, basically just like questioning the past you and being like, that could have been true in that case, or I could have believed that was true, but I need to ask what's true now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right, well, awesome. We're going to take a real quick commercial break and we'll be right back with the smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Xperience Radio. And we are back with the smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Xperience Radio. I'm your host, your old pal Zane, here with Zoe Schwartz.
What up?
And Sera Eden.
Hello.
All right. So you were talking a little bit last segment about visualization, and I feel like that kind of tracks into our next thing. God, I'm so good today. Manifestation. So manifestation. It's something that I feel like I have in the past laughed at. I feel like I was just like, oh, what? I just think happy thoughts and then I'm happy. But that's not really what it is. I think for me, I'll tell you a real quick story. There was this day that my car had broken down. My car was my only source of income. And I was devastated. I was literally sitting outside the car thing. That's how much I know about cars.
The place where they do car stuff.
Yeah, the car stuff place. And I was sitting there waiting, and I called my mom, and I was just like, hey, like my main source of income is in the shop, so therefore I can't pay for it. And she's like, well, how much do you need? And I was like, I need $300. And she's like, cool, now you put it out in the universe. And I was like, fuck off. This is not helpful or $300. But she ended up being right, because I was sitting there, and I had actually taken a picture of this penny, because for a while, like seeing a heads up penny was like a sign that I'm where I'm supposed to be, right?
Like
a shooting star, a heads up penny. I'm like, cool, that's where I'm supposed to be. So I took a picture, told the story, and was just like, hey, today's been kind of rough, but like things will hopefully line up. Somebody reached out and was just like, here's $250.
What?
And then another person gave me $50. And I was just like, by the end of the day, I had the exact amount of money I asked for.
Okay, that's
and
amazing.
I was like, I should ask for more. No, I'm just kidding.
You're all 1,000.
Yeah, for real. I'm just like saying numbers just really loud, hoping that they'd hit the new mark.
I could use a mansion.
Just looking for pennies constantly.
You listening, God?
Anybody? Shooting star? No? Okay, well, it's worth a shot. But yeah, I feel like for me, that was a really good example. And honestly, another day, the same thing kind of happened, where she was just like, name it and you'll get it. And it was frustrating because I didn't want to believe it worked, but it was also kind of empowering in a sense, because I was able to see like, all right, like even if I don't get $300, thinking the entire day that I will not be able to solve this is not better.
Yeah, right. It's not going to help you get closer.
It's not going to help me get closer.
Yeah.
So with manifestation, I'm kind of curious, like what is your understanding of it, and how might it differ from maybe most people's?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I'll start with in reverse. I think I too sometimes laugh at it, especially looking on Instagram. And there's like people with like flying on private jets and all doing all this crazy shit. And they're like, I manifested it. And I'm like, I mean, that's great. If you manifested it, all the
your
power
dad
to you.
manifested it.
But then it's like,
Manifest
no, I
destiny.
mean, I do think people some people are really good at manifesting money. Maybe they have zero limiting beliefs about money. So it just like flows so easy when they like start getting in that vibe of like, I can make money doing this and that. You know, I know it's harder for me with the money because I do have that limiting belief from growing up without a lot of money. So that's something I'm currently working on still. But back to just the manifestation part is like, I come at it just from probably from all the psychedelics I've done, but probably have more like spiritual sense of it, of like, we're energetic beings. You know, we're more than just our physical. I believe in reincarnation. So I just believe in, that we're basically just balls of energy, like interacting, and that I believe that we came here to co-create as a human with all these other amazing humans, and that we create our reality by how we perceive it. So, you know, also just it doesn't feel good to perceive reality as being shitty all the time. So like there's nothing that's going to be bad about trying to manifest, because that means you're basically trying to be in alignment with the inner being that I was talking about earlier, your like inner self, and how you move through the world, how you perceive the world. So basically being in alignment would be like a harmony between how you show up in the world with your authenticity, being your authentic self, and having an alignment between that and your inner being. So really that's what manifestation is to me. And that when you're in alignment, when you're acting in integrity with who you are, you magnetize the experiences that make you feel good, because you're actually doing them, because it feels good to do them, because you're just being who you are. Yeah. And it feels good to be who you are.
Yeah. And at the very least, like being who you are is bringing the good
more
feeling
of what you want to be feeling. I mean, so, I mean, I know there's a lot of like nuances about it, but I also think of it in like I was raised by, my dad was a scientist. So I liked the science aspect of it too, is just like the quantum mechanics of it, of like, we're energy, and that they've done all these studies of like particles that under all these microscopes, where when they go to like look for these certain particles, because we're 99% nothing, and there's like 1%, you know, our cells are made up of like 1% of matter and 99% of nothing, which is really crazy to think about.
So I don't matter.
No, in the big,
I knew it.
Sorry,
in a good way though, we don't matter. It makes me feel better to think about how I don't matter.
I mean, yes.
Yeah, well, and that's literally what I have tattoos on, of like everything matters and nothing matters, because it's just that fine line right down the middle. So it's kind of like, I could talk about manifestation forever, but I feel like, you know, the law of attraction part, where when you think of like, things are only going to be there when you expect them to be there, because it's really just energy. Yeah. So that's kind of what it is like, you're expecting that you're going to show up a certain way, and like you were expecting that like you're going to get this car somehow. Yeah. And so your energy is putting that out there, and it's just the law of the universe. Yeah. And I'm not like a quantum physicist, so I can't explain how it works. But
I had read a book that was, you know, kind of about reprogramming your mind, and had talked about, you know, like when we're looking at like a point, you know, in like quantum physics, that like you can look at a point and then like it almost appears there because you're looking at that point.
But they take pictures of it and it's like not there until they say, let's take a picture of it, and then it'll be there. It honestly makes no sense. There's all these deep space studies where they take this box and like, things that like change in the box. I don't know. It's like I'm not really good at explaining the science aspect of it.
That's
just
totally
stuff that
fine.
we don't understand going on around us. Yeah, kind of the gist of it.
Right? I mean, I think that's an important like kind of thing to arrive at, is like, maybe I don't understand everything, so like maybe this belief isn't going to hurt me. You know, believing that something good can happen or trying to manifest it it's not harmful. You know,
exactly.
Like, I really appreciate that. Yeah. So what's something that you've manifested recently?
My husband.
Okay, look at that. That's a pretty.
I'm pretty good at manifesting love.
You just looked in one spot, and he popped up.
No, I was literally like, I had a really rough divorce, probably because I still had like so much healing to do, and kind of like, I really did manifest like someone who was amazing, like super spiritual, but just not healthy for me to be around. And it took me a lot of empowerment work to leave that relationship.
Sure.
And I made the decision that I was going to call in a human, another like soulmate who was on my level of consciousness, and who was like all about all the things I wanted, like peace and love and traveling and like doing good in the world and nature and just whatever. It could go on and on. Also like psychedelics and amazing cook
Sounds like a dope
and,
person.
all these things. And I literally...
Well, you want to get married? Because
No, I swear.
well, you guys looking for a third? Or?
But, okay, I know, right? Zoe and me.
Me and him are both chosen ones.
You're both cancers.
Yeah. Oh, we are?
Mm-hmm. Just like sweet, kind, nurturing people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think I had to get part of the manifestation work that I do was get right with me living my life alone. So that was the kind of the manifestation thing of like, you need to embody what you want already. Right? So you need to embody it before it happens. That's the whole thing of like, you had to believe that you're going to get this money to get the car. I had to believe that I was going to be happy even without this person.
Yeah.
And so I had to live my life as if like, I will never meet this person and I'm going to have the best fucking life there is starting right now. And I just did everything I wanted to do because I was living in authenticity with like who I really was. And then
you meet the person that aligns with all of that.
I met him immediately. It was so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was wild. And I knew the second I met him, I was like, that's my person. And I scared him away because I told him, don't tell them if that happened.
They did. They broke up for a while. And I was like, she got him back. Yay. He's the one.
Manifested.
No, but you guys just took, sometimes I think healthy relationships do that though. You take a little break to figure out if you're perfect for each other.
If you can't walk away from something and come back to it, then you probably shouldn't like have stayed with it.
I think there are people all the time that like break up for a little bit and then before they're like, now we're really fucking solid.
Right. If you come back, it's like you're meant to.
Some of the coolest couples I know have that same dynamic that I'm like, I'm jealous of their relationship. And then I'm like, oh, they broke up for like a year before they got married or whatever. And I think that's a theme of people. It's like mature almost to go to like test it. I mean, not that you should if that's not where you're at, but I think I've seen that be like a theme with people that have really great relationships.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I wonder if that's part of it.
So what would you say like worth ties into like manifestation?
Well, just because if you're not going to like embody something, like if I didn't believe that I could actually like live this amazing life on my own without a partner, then I'm probably not going to manifest it. So I have to believe that I'm worthy of like living an awesome life, and like I'm capable of doing things that make me happy on my own. And a lot of people, aren't there yet. They just are like doubt themselves and, so that's just that worth that it's all ties back into those limiting beliefs. Really.
So what you're saying is I'm going to meet somebody really soon because I've been doing that. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
I'm worthy now.
But I'm actually honestly on the same journey as you where I'm like, I think the limiting belief for me is like that I need that to be happy. And so in order to get over that limiting belief, I have to accept that I can be happy alone. And
prove it to yourself.
Yeah. So I think I can relate in that way too. It's been kind of my relationship to that part of my life lately too.
Yeah, definitely. I think like for me, like worth is something I've definitely struggled with, like you were saying about like limiting beliefs is like, if you don't believe that you're worthy of something, then you wouldn't believe that you could have it or that you deserve to have it.
You're not going to put yourself out there in ways where you could have it or meet it.
Exactly. Which actually kind of, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, Zoe. Like, so how do you feel like manifesting kind of ties into, themes in your work?
Yeah, actually, I think, and I kind of have the same initial, and even Sarah said the same thing, like manifesting is kind of a yucky term because it does sound like, oh, if you just think positively, you can have, it's like, yeah, that is kind of what it is. But for me, like the way I think about it is like the science behind it because I have to do this because I'm, whatever, not really. But just like I said, we come at it from different lenses. But Sarah sent me this, what is the acronym that you sent?
BTFAR.
And what does it stand for again?
Beliefs. Your inner beliefs lead to how you think, which leads to BTF, how you feel. And then your feelings lead to your emotions.
Yeah.
BTF feelings. Oh, then actions. How you feel leads to what actions you show up in the world and take, which creates your reality.
Yeah. And that honestly, when I read it, I was like, that is almost the same exactly thing as like the cognitive triangle in cognitive behavioral therapy. It's like thoughts. Your thoughts dictate your feelings dictate your actions, and then it's like a cycle. But if you can interrupt your thoughts and notice when they're not based in reality,
not empowered,
not aligned with your values,
sure,
then you can change your thoughts, which changes your feelings and then changes your behavior. Because if you're thinking, I suck at this, everyone hates me, you're going to go into it and be weird and awkward and not put yourself out there. But if you think, I'm decent at this, and then you feel better and expansive, you're going to go into it and be more of yourself and be more likely to meet somebody, right? So it's like, it sounds like, oh, you just think positive and then positive things happen. But really what it is you're behaving in a way that aligns with the things that you want, and therefore you're more likely to be in connection with
and
other things.
observing your thoughts.
Yes, yeah. But noticing, taking space from your thoughts. Yeah, that's.
Well, I've definitely like showed up to like a party and just believed that I was friends with everybody and had like a great time, you know, because because I was acting in a way that was, you know, reflective of being everybody's friend. And there's been similarly times where I'm like, everybody hates me and they react to me the way that I am presenting myself. If I think they hate me, I'm not going to go talk to them. If I don't go talk to them, they're not going to think I'm friendly, which is going to reinforce the shitty cycle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So awesome. Well, no, I appreciate you sharing that with us about manifestation, because I definitely was hoping to get like some new perspective, and I really like how it tied into some of your stuff as well.
Yeah, I like it too, because I was being poo-pooey about it, and then I'm like, no, it's actually really similar to things I believe, but we just come at it differently.
Exactly.
So I think that's a cool way to.
But I think just one more thing about the toxic part of it is like, because a lot of times there is people who are like, just think positive all the time, and like, yes, you want to feel good, but it's more about feeling good, not necessarily like thinking like good thoughts. It's like, life is crazy. There's suffering, as we know, everywhere, and like pain and trauma. And it's like having that still point of equilibrium that you can come back to. So you can like have those thoughts of like, wow, the world's really fucked up. What can I do about it? It can be like crazy. But then knowing that like you come back to your place of peace, and then you can take inspired action because you know you feel good, and you're like,
it's like acceptance. It's not like everything's great. It's like I accept the things I don't have control over, and I sit with them instead of reacting. I try to respond or something.
Yeah, responding, and then take that inspired action to try to like be the change that you want to see or whatever, you know?
Totally. No,
so it's like,
I like it.
More about just trying to keep yourself feeling good. So like changing those thoughts instead of like, the world is, you know, horrible and whatever your negative thought would be, of just being like, you know, it is really sad and messed up, but like it feels good knowing that like I can take little tiny actions that make myself and my community better. You know, just reframe. So like reframing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all we can do, honestly, really.
Definitely.
Like, in the big picture a lot of the time. So yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. We're going to take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the smoke break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Xperience Radio. All right. Well, we're going to take a real quick break, but with music this time, because we have music from Lord Lawerence, Pill, and Echo the Savage, 3 artists that I'm super huge fans of. One of them is a live performance, and 2 of them are music videos. So please stick around and check those out. If you enjoy the music, please go follow them on social media. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and start off with some music.
Take it away, Philip.
Yeah. Waste your time with me, yeah. Why you always looking back at the old me? Now you wanna talk back like you know me. I ain't never going back to that. I ain't never gonna act like that. So give me the crown, give me the gold, give me the trophies. I'll be blocking you out like a goalie. You ain't gonna be around for that. When I get the money, get the bag. Oh, 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 oh. Think it's safe to say that I earned it. They be coming back cause it's perfect. Don't bother me when I'm working. I make the hottest shit and I serve it. I ain't popping yet, but you've heard it. And I ain't stopping yet, I'm swerving away from all these motherfuckers that ain't Don't waste my time, don't play no games. My timing's right your way too. I hit the switch and you motherfuckers back up. Hit a beat, I be backing up the back truck. Don't waste my time today. Don't waste my time today, yeah. Why you always looking back at the old me? Now you wanna talk back like you know me. I ain't never going back to that. I ain't never gonna act like that. So give me the crown, give me the gold, give me the trophies. I'll be blocking you out like a goalie. You ain't gonna be around for that. When I get the money, get the Think you really got claim like you helped build the team. If you got claim, well that shit's news to me. You ain't got game and you got your name from me. I am not playing, stay the fuck away from me. How the fuck that shit sound to you? You been messing with the wrong crew. And I ain't ever running after you, no. You ain't even worth the scuff in my. And I ain't tripping, I'll be coordinating all of this shit. Had the vision that I make it to the top of this shit. Build a castle, I'ma do the shit off of my kids. They ain't ever gonna have to see the way that I live, no. Don't waste my time today. Hey. Why you always looking back at the old me? Now you wanna talk back like you know me. I ain't never going back to that. I ain't never gonna act like that. So give me the crown, give me the gold, give me the trophies. I'll be blocking you out like a goalie. You ain't gonna be around for that. When I get the money, get the bag. No, 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 no.
Took a piece of my heart like I knew you would buy. That's okay, you probably need it anyway. Took a piece of my heart like I knew you would buy. That's okay, you probably need it anyway. Can't you see? I have no ill intentions for you. Can't you see? I have no ill intentions towards you. I'm strong enough for us. You just need to trust. I know you've been through much, but I can teach you things such as how to love a woman, and how to be open, yeah.
I don't want you to be, I don't need you to be, I just need you alone with me. I'll find a way to hide away, keeping you close to me. Don't wanna escape, you can't even relate how I feel today. I'm not okay, just wanna run away.
Took a piece of my heart life I knew you would buy. That's okay, you probably need it anyway. Took a piece of my heart life I knew you would buy. That's okay, you probably need it anyway.
Look, okay, I pulled up and I stepped in. Glock on me, no West End. All red on the nigga head, finna beat the beat like step kids. And I'm sliding around with my gang. Foreign whip when I lane change. Young guy, boss nigga, King Scooter, same thing. Swear to God, I'm a fucking god. Blowing up like it's napalm and I walk down, no mask on. Black hoodie, nigga, I'm Trayvon. And if you don't want it, it's simple. Tell them niggas don't get in no shit. Look, fuck a cop car, I'm a rock star. I'm Jim Hendrix with a stick, bitch.
She give head dumb to the dumb and the drum full clip, gotta know where to run. Oh, hit it, but I'm always on a bullseye. 6 figure, wanna stack it like an old guy. So for this, I'm ready to go one day. Oh, see, I'm working for Monday. What they gonna do when we on our day? Better for one time, but ain't gonna call my phone at the one time. Hindsight, looking at a dude with a goatee. That's me in a beanie, got a CD, you can be me. Now I'm gonna run up for a DD. See me on the TV, on the beat, please. I'm a rap fiend with a catch beat. High seas, high fleas, up on the beach. They think that it's crazy. They hate who I am. I tell them to pay me. And when they play us, look at my cigarette. I got them shivering, suffering, vigorous. Now my aim is for ignorant, gibberish, literal difference. Why are you acting like our time is innocent? My cigarette, I got them shivering, suffering,
All right. And that was Lord Lawerence, Pill, and Echo the Savage. Super dope artists. Go ahead and check them out on Spotify and YouTube. But other than that, we're going to take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with the Smoke Break on Shady Pines Radio and Pretty Dope Xperience Radio. Hey, it's your old pal Zay here with Zoe Schwartz.
Hi.
And Sera Eden.
Hello.
All right, dope. So I actually, since you're here, you have a business, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about it for a second?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So how long have you been a business owner?
Well, I've been in business in general as an entrepreneur for like 12 years, but a different business.
Okay.
So I was a florist.
Ooh.
Plot twist.
Hey, I like
I have
it.
my own floral and botanic design business. So
Okay.
I told
wow.
you she was a Jill of all trades.
Yeah. I like
and then I was like yoga instructor for other people, and then I started doing it on by myself, and then fitness coaching like 1-to-1, and then
Sure.
I was like really felt called to like do more than just the fitness.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of branched out, and now I have my own like empowerment and wellness business, but that's only like a year old.
Yeah.
It's pretty
yeah.
fresh.
But it sounds like you realize the importance of some of the other pillars, and you're like, hey, so I've got the fitness part of it, or, maybe I helped you over in this aspect, but like I want to have a more well-rounded, reach. So I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called? I was going to say. Were you going to say that?
I can say I was.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Zoe.
yeah.
It's called Ritual Fit Wellness.
We can find you online.
I actually am about to launch my website on on Tuesday on the Aries new moon and the spring equinox. It's like a good Aries is like the sign of new beginnings. So I figured it was a good day, cosmic alignment to launch this new website. But I do have an Instagram, which is just Ritual Fit Wellness.
Okay,
Ritual
excellent.
Fit Wellness.
Yeah, so that's where we can find you is on Instagram right now.
Yeah.
All right,
And I'm guessing
excellent.
you'll probably put the information for your website up on there soon. Or
Yeah, I mean, there's like a bio link where you can get a hold of me for sure. But yeah, hopefully it'll all be up and running on Tuesday.
All right. Well,
Awesome.
hey.
Exciting.
That is very exciting. And speaking of exciting, this is the episode for it. What are you excited for?
Ooh, perfect.
Look at that. We did it 3 times in a row. What are you excited for?
Am I going first?
Yep. Talk to us, Zoe.
Okay, I am excited. I'm excited for, like last time I said the same thing. I'm excited for the weather.
It's getting there.
It's like 60 something degrees out. Like I'm hot. Why am I wearing this sleeved thing? So I'm really excited for the weather because that's something I think in Oregon a lot of us can relate to, is that affects our mental health a lot. And I think when it's like sometimes it's like at the end of the summer I'm usually ready to like hibernate a little bit, but this year, I know every year, but by the time it gets to around here I'm like, okay, bring on the sun. I've been inside for like 7 months or something. So I'm really excited for the summer just because I love the summer. When it's swimming and warmth and all
I was going to say, what are your summer activities?
Swimming. I really love going to the river.
Okay.
Also,
Swimming is survival for fun.
I have a couple friends. Yes, I agree. Yeah, well,
it is not fun.
It's
You're always at the river or the lake.
I'm a water
Really?
baby.
Yeah.
I'm like if every day if I can. I mean, obviously
Cancer.
I can't. Yeah, I'm a Cancer, and I was born July 7th, so I just
Checks out.
It's my thing. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just really excited for the warm weather and just like to feel a little lighter and all that stuff. But also, I just have I've been talking about it for a while, but I have a bunch of shows coming up in the next couple of weeks, and I got my Wildcraft cider. What's the place? I don't
You ever
know.
say something so many times you doubt if it's the real thing?
Works. Cider Works. At Wildcraft Cider Works in Eugene, Oregon, next Saturday at 7. I think the doors are at 7 and the show's at 8 or something like that. But it's gonna be
if
great.
you're in Eugene checking this out, make sure that you go out and support Zoe on that.
Yeah. And then I got a show I got another show in Eugene at Big City Gaming on this 22nd Wednesday, and then I'm doing a sexy talk show in Salem on Friday.
That sounds fun.
Sexy. Tell us more.
Yeah, I just think it's a show where I get to just really lean into all my jokes because they're already really dirty. So
There you go. You get to be more of your authentic self.
Yeah.
And hopefully bring more bookings that are aligning with that.
exactly.
Ooh, look,
yeah.
you got
Yeah.
it.
Look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Some drip. Some drip.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just excited for all the shows and for the sun mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that, the weather for me is definitely like living in Portland and being like, it's rainy. Like you can expect it, but you can also be exhausted by it.
Yes.
Like you can be realistic and be like, yes, it's mostly like this, but you can also be excited about the parts where it's not like that.
Yes.
Yeah, especially like I work with the homeless community, so I do like outreach and stuff like that.
Nice.
So like having to go do outreach on nights that are just like so cold that it's like it's a severe weather night. We're trying to get them to shelters or even let them know that there's shelters. And then it's already hard enough to see the situation they're in. So it's even harder to know that the weather's also affecting. You know?
It definitely makes houseless people's lives a little bit easier when the weather. I mean, it's still hard to live on the street regardless, but yeah, you see a lot. Yeah, people. Be warm
but
at
yeah.
night.
And I've seen you posted a poster about all your shows and stuff. I mean, that's always a good feeling when you have enough that you can be like, okay, cool. Like if you can't make it to this one, you can make it to the next 7.
You got a tour.
Yeah,
pretty much.
That's only the second time I've done it. Yeah, I usually wait until I have. If I have like, I'm like, I don't feel.
What's your number? What's your number that you're like, I can make a poster?
I think I was like this time I had 8 shows. I think it was around that. Yeah, like around 8. It felt
a good number.
I think I could probably do it with less.
If you had 3, it would be you'd have to use some big ass font.
I mean, I see people do it, and I don't shame them for it.
No.
I am self-conscious enough that I have to have 8 before I feel comfortable making a poster.
There's nothing wrong with it, except in my mind.
I'm not good enough unless I have 8. Just kidding. Limiting belief.
Hey, but you called it, and that is working towards.
And that is reframing.
Yep, absolutely.
I didn't reframe it yet, but I could after that. Anyway, what about you guys? What are you guys excited about?
What about you? Yeah. Sarah, what are you excited
about?
for?
I mean,
you got a website coming up, so that's pretty exciting.
I think I'm excited. Just like I'm really putting myself out there with this new business, and it's terrifying, but it's exciting all at the same time. Just leaping into the unknown of like truly, and I'm filming my first course. Which is, I've never done anything like that before. And I wish I had your tech guy because it's really challenging. I can't even set up my lavalier mic.
Yeah. We have a space. You could probably do it here. Just change the background.
But so there's a lot to learn. So I'm excited to just like be in the headspace where I actually feel empowered enough for myself to even just try to do it and see if it works.
So you've never done a course like that? What's the course on?
It is actually on manifesting with the chakra. So
what are the odds?
The idea, shocking, right?
Chakra-roying.
The idea is like I'm combining everything, like yoga and mindset and manifestation and meditation. I'm a certified meditation instructor too, and my idea is that like people could use it like on a random daily thing, like okay, today I'm feeling like sad or my heart area just needs some work. So you'd go and like, okay, we've got some meditations for this day. I've got like a whole yoga flow that'll help like opening the heart.
Yeah.
Just some like journal stuff, some videos where I just talk about the just different things in relation to like the heart energy and like, I don't know. It's kind of like a lot of things together, but I'm just putting it out there.
Options, it sounds like
I'm just giving people options. Or you can do it like, I have a week off work. I'm going to do my own like 7-day retreat. And I'm filming it in New Mexico, so it'll be like a beautiful backdrop. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
that's exciting.
That is really exciting.
It's exciting. And it might be terrible. It might be a flop. But like the thing is, I'm just doing it. And
you're going into it with almost like no expectations.
Yeah,
just being open to the possibility of anything happening.
Right. And I'm excited. What I'm putting out there excites me. It's like what I'm passionate about. So
yeah.
What do you think is the importance of being excited about something?
I mean, I feel like really excited. I call myself a cosmic cheerleader, which is why I like instead of a life coach.
That's a better word than a life coach.
I'm your cosmic cheerleader because I'm just a naturally really excited person. I'm like one of those people that like I'm really good at instigating shit, not the best at following through, but
maybe you have ADHD too.
I think I do. My husband's a school teacher, so he's convinced that I do. My whole family does, so I wouldn't be surprised. But
my mom has it.
Yeah, I just get really excited, and so I think like it's part of that thing when you're excited. You're taking more inspired action. Right. You're taking more inspired action. We are like...
Shane was listening.
Oh, yeah. I know. I was like, look, you're...
It's weird. He's good at this whole thing.
Yeah. You like have your place of peace. And then from that place of feeling good, you're like, ooh, I'm excited about where I'm going. I don't know where it'll lead, but I'm excited to start walking that direction. Yeah. No, I definitely, for me, that's like my favorite question to ask is like, what are you excited for? Because it's like, I feel like so often things can be going bad. Things could be, if you ask somebody how they're doing, they could say bad. But if you ask somebody what they're excited for, it almost forces you to think positively of like what's in the future instead of like what's currently bad in the present.
And they're like, what are you looking forward to that you hate? Just kidding. That's
Yeah.
Who is your least favorite teacher? Yeah.
You know what?
I love what are you dreading?
That was in the New York Times this morning. It literally was saying, instead of saying like, hey, how are you doing today? They're like, give me a list of things you like. Yeah. They're like, tell me what you like and don't like. We want a plus and negative, just like you'd get to know people more instead of like, how are you doing today? Exactly. What do you do for a living? Everybody just says fine. I got so sick of it. Or what do you do for a living? It's like nobody really cares. What excites you?
Something I hate that I have to do to live.
Usually. Yeah.
I mean, I don't hate my job, but a lot of people do.
I would say all three of us are lucky enough to not be able to say that. But oftentimes, if you ask somebody what they're doing, it's the thing they don't want to, but pays the bills.
Yeah. Right. But what about you? Now I'm curious.
Yeah.
What am I excited for? Let's see. I actually hung out with a homie the other day, and he hooked me up with a comic book that is I've been going into a kind of a hibernation phase, but I've been consuming a lot of media because my biggest thing is I'm always busy. I'm always working on kind of creating media that like I never take any time to like take anything in.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that I've been reading recently have been, you know, kind of related to the break that I'm taking, you know, and the break that I'm having. But
He's big on puns.
Yeah, I can't turn it off. My ex hates it. But I feel like just almost, you know, reading something alongside your own journey can kind of make you feel like, oh, I'm on the right track, you know? But yeah, he gave me a comic book. His name's Gene DeWeber.
Hi, Gene.
Hi, Gene. He's trying to get on the podcast, and I think we will because super smart dude. But he gave me something that like really just kind of gave me like a lot of perspective. It's like a superhero comic, and it literally starts off with the hero, you know, trying to take their own life. And I'm like, wow, that's like really heavy. But like at the same time, it's realistic that like these are feelings that we have. But often in media, they don't get to be represented because they are like, whoa, you know, they can be heavy. But for the people who experience ideation and things like that, being able to not feel so alone in those things it's been incredibly helpful. So for me, it's, you know, working on that and working on community. Like him and I hung out. I had a couple like paranoid delusions that I was struggling with that like I just checked in and I was just like, hey, is this happening? And he's like, no. And I'm like, cool. Like, and I can trust you not to use this against me later. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I can trust people, and it's maybe a slow thing, but it's not an impossible thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, so as far as like, you know, building that community and trying to build my circle of people and the people that I can trust, I've had to do some reality testing with Zoe, and Zoe's been extremely understanding and just not made me feel more crazy about feeling crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you know, building a strong community, which is why I think that, you know, that's a really cool pillar that you have, because you can spend a lot of time on self-help and then go out into a group of people and be like, I'm fucking weird out here, you know, but like
community.
It's a pillar.
No, I do. I think the same thing. I learned that they talk a lot about like why group work is like in therapy or in any sort of healing is really valuable, like almost beyond individual work, especially for certain people and depending on what they're working on. Yeah, because you're building community, you're seeing your experiences in other people, and like that's half the battle when we try to accept ourselves and be kind to ourselves, is realizing that we're not alone in our struggles, right? So I think, and also like in groups, we can have so many more opportunities to practice the things that we're working on, and to like you said, like you practicing being more open and then experiencing somebody being able to help you through that moment, right? Like sharing what's going on instead of just suffering inside. And so I think and Sarah, we were talking about that recently too, where didn't you say you were going to start a group or something?
Yeah, it's also starting on the new moon when I launch my website.
I'm doing a big Tuesday.
I know, it's in my birth. I'm turning 40 next week too, so I guess I'm excited about that.
Birthday.
That's elder millennials.
That's a good new beginning though.
On the thing that you invited me to, but we'll have dinner or something.
Yeah, but what was I going to say about that? Oh, but it's about the group. It's a group coaching because I want it to also be accessible, because I can't even afford a life coach, so I know other people can't. It is a privilege. And I want to be able to just help as many people as possible feel inspired and empowered and ready to like show up in their lives. And so it's an action-focused group for people who like want to take action, but like, you know, they want to be leaders not only in their own lives, but in their communities. And so just like people who are feeling that call to like step into their power, but are kind of just like procrastinating or just like need a little bit more accountability and to like work through whatever resistance is like holding them back from taking those steps they know they like want to do, but they're just for some reason not doing it.
Well, and I want to thank you honestly for bringing up the inaccessibility sometimes for people in those situations, but not only addressing it, but doing work to kind of combat that.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of us want to better ourselves, but we feel like it's such an unattainable thing that like, you know, when somebody realizes that it is a difficult barrier for some people to cross, but like meets them where they're at.
Yeah.
That means a lot to us. So and especially group work, you know, I think that like what Zoe was saying, like I kind of think of this podcast as like a group therapy, you know, because it's us kind of, you know, coming to the table that we now have, but coming to the table.
Metaphorical and
table. And thank you, Zoe, for the tablecloth. Yeah. Look at that. We're getting there. But
It's a tapestry, not a tablecloth.
okie doke. No, but being able to come to the tapestry and bring ourselves as authentically as possible. But I think that, that being able to have that space where you are allowed to show up and be like, hey, I'm still struggling, and for me, struggling just means that you're still fighting. I think that's it. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to say I struggle. And it's just like, no, man, that means that you're still trying.
Right.
It means that every day that you still have to try, but that means that you're still trying.
Yep. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate the podcast in that sense, but I like the group part of it. I think is been really healing, because it's like every time I think that I'm alone in something, I sit down with somebody and I find out I'm not, and it means the world. So,
yeah.
What do you think is the thing you're most excited about for the group part of it?
Well, multiple things. I think for my own self is just stepping into my own power. That was one of my loading beliefs. Like, who am I to like guide people? I'm like crazy too. We're all, have my own shit, and like, just like we all have something to share. And I want it to be a communal space. Like, I'm not like the leader of the group. I want it to be like a communal,
the facilitator.
Right. Like, everyone has different perspectives to share, and like, we're going to learn from each other. So I'm excited about like what everyone else is bringing to the table, and how I can just be a better facilitator, but also weave in like all of my like passion for like the psychedelic world and the cosmic and the energetic, and like how can I bring that in, not just be like we're taking action, but like how can we see life as more like sacred and connected, and like, I don't know, without coming off as like too hippie or crazy, so I'm just excited to like kind of weave it all together and just find my voice.
Really. Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited for you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I think finding our voice is one of the most difficult things, but like once we've found that voice, then we can, do something with it. It's like, I feel like for the longest time I didn't know who I was and what I wanted to say, and once I figured out like the message that I wanted to share, then all it became was just aligning with that. So I'm really excited for you to be able to get that started, and I really just appreciate like a lot of the things that you've had to share on this podcast.
Well, and I appreciate being here again. This is like my first podcast, so I was like really nervous, but y'all have been like really comforting and make it very comfortable, and I feel like I already have taken a step towards finding a voice.
Nice.
It's helpful.
Yeah, because like one part of having a new business is promoting it, right?
Right.
So like, and that's something you're not
like one-to-one. I'm great, but it's like when you're in front of a group, or like on a video or whatever. It's just, you have those nerves.
Totally.
It's good to remember, like, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but it really doesn't. It's like
it
both
matters.
things at once.
Everything matters and nothing matters.
And if you're aligned with what's important to you, it'll flow naturally.
Right. And just,
which I think it did. It did.
Like clearly what you're doing is something you genuinely believe in and embody, and that's like why it's easy to talk about,
and it helps people. And like, I've had really good feedback from the clients that I have helped. And, that's like what you got to do is just keep doing what what calls to your heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that has been the Smoke Break. We're here every Sunday from 9 to 10 a.m. on Shady Pines Radio, as well as Pretty Dope Xperience Radio. I've been your host, your old pal Zane, here with Zoe Schwartz.
Peace out.
And Sera Eden.
Thanks, guys.
Where can we find your website?
Well, it's going to be ritualfit.org.
All right, excellent. All right, go check it out on Tuesday. Later, players.
Here, Sarah.
I poked myself in the eye. Bye.
Mwah.